Hello. What is up, ladies and gentlemen? I'm John.
And I'm Britt.
She's the beautiful.
He's the nerdy.
And welcome to the 9th episode of our podcast, The Self Center. Now, all the episodes that have been so far, we've been talking about a lot of cartoons. We were going to do a Q&A talking about why, but here's the thing. Q&A ain't working that well, so we might even amass a bunch of questions and do a much longer question special eventually. We got a lot, but it's not to be talked about here as there's too much talking to be done about that.
And don't worry, we probably will do it at some point because we do want to answer your questions.
And there's some damn good ones. But as of the moment, we are talking about none other than one of our favorite games of all time,
The Binding of Isaac.
Repentance. So, just for a bit of background, just to know where we stand for everyone who actually does like Isaac, Isaac is typically split off into eras of which game we're talking about. I started in the late Afterbirth Plus era in 2020. So I always was a little bit freaked out by the game because of its theming up until pandemic shutdown when I tried it for the first time along with some other indie games of the time. Ended up loving it. Then Repentance came out. Love it to death, obviously.
Quick side note before we start on the characters, though. There might be some spoilers if you don't want to learn about the characters.
Yeah, so any and all spoilers about what characters are unlockable if you haven't played this game, first of all, get yourself right. All right, first of all. So we are going to go through all 34 characters. Some of them we won't talk about as much because not both of us have not played all characters.
Right.
I've only played with 32 of the 34.
I don't know how many I've played with so far.
Yeah, so Brits has played as very few. She's kind of new to it. She is a Repentance girl. She only ever played Repentance, which, I mean, you're not missing much if.
As well.
Yeah, I feel like we should take you through Flash Isaac, Wrath of the Lamb, Rebirth, and Afterbirth Plus. Though I'd skip Afterbirth and just go right to Plus because there's not really a lot between the two. A lot of people cite that Afterbirth Plus is the definitive Afterbirth, so there's not really a whole lot of reason to go back.
It's crazy how you learned how to play it, or how you learned about it and played it, though.
Yeah, so I have played as all but 2 of the characters so far. And so we will be going in the order of which the .fandom goes, starting at Isaac and ending on none other than Tainted Jacob.
We're starting on my least favorite because he's just kind of plain.
Now, I'm going to have to immediately say, we'll be giving each of these characters a grade. And Isaac, if it wasn't for his D6, I would probably have to give him a solid 3.
Don't he also start with a bomb?
He starts with a bomb, and once unlocked, the D6. Now, as much as I can't really recommend him in his base form when you start the game, as soon as you unlock the D6, he goes from being a 3 to like a 7.
I will admit that.
Yeah, because the D6 is all of his power. He is what's referred to as base Isaac stats, which you'll hear me saying a few times through the episode. His stats are what pretty much the community calls the basic. Like, if you're hearing that, it means it is what we judge power by, is how higher or lower a stat is compared to Isaac. That being said, the ability to re-roll bad items into possibly better ones is a very good one. But by itself, it can be a little weak. As far as when you just start the game off, you don't have the D6. And so he gets anywhere from 3 to 7 for me for that reason.
Right.
Um,
For me, it'd be a 2
unfortunately-
because unfortunately, there's not really much you can do with him.
yeah, like you're bound to have a good time with Isaac.
I mean,
Don't get
I
us
like him.
wrong.
Don't get me wrong, but he's not my favorite.
He's not the most fun and interesting for me. Moving on right to Magdalene.
Ah, she's the first one I ever learned how to play.
So Magdalene, I started Britzy off with Magdalene because
And I fell in love with the character.
because with the Yum Heart ability and the 4 starting hearts and all, it's a very good character to take a lot of hits with. So that's a really good place
Although
to
it's-
start a
I
player.
was gonna say, although it's not recommended to take a bunch of hits.
Yeah, like you're gonna take so many whenever you're new. So
Right.
that's why I started her on Magdalene. Is I figure for a bit of speed down from Isaac's base stats, you get a lot more hearts. Eventually, she unlocks a full health pill to be taken at the beginning if you want.
Right.
It's a really good strategy for those to use sacrifice rooms if you're a pro.
Plus, I like her character design.
Yeah. Now, I would have to personally, in the Repentance era, now before Repentance, oh my gosh, she was bad. Like, I would
I
give
was
her
gonna
a
say, I've
1
heard-
before.
From so many YouTubers that she was bad before that.
Yeah. Now, she did get a little worse and better in Repentance. Because of the full health pill, she can abuse sack rooms a lot better at the
Right.
beginning. So if you have a few hearts, you can practically get a free angel deal item out the gate along with some
And
good
red
resources.
hearts are very easy to find, so
Yeah.
you can get your health back too.
So that's a pretty good thing about her. The real issue when it comes to her is just that speed. There used to be, in place of the full health pill, she had a speed up at the beginning when you unlocked it. That made her a lot better. So technically the full health pill is kind of both an upgrade and a downgrade, because now you need a speed up if you're going to live as her.
Right.
So
It sucks.
I'm going to have to give her a solid 6 for just the ability to
I
quickly...
give her about the same.
Yeah, because as much as
I
she's
won't
fun
put her
to play
up
with...
there on like a 10, but I do like her.
Yeah. I feel like the sacrifice abuse that I use her for can make her a very powerful character.
Right.
You just got to get a speed up in the boss rooms. If you can
Right.
get a speed up, you're probably going to be set. You're not going to lose an Isaac run with her if you get the speed. Let's see. Kane. Kane, sadly, has a very little thing to talk about.
I don't think I've played as him.
So, the pros and cons. First of all, he starts with 1 less heart than Isaac. But he starts with 4.20 damage instead of 350, meaning he is well above the base attack stat for Isaac. Where this becomes interesting is him starting with Luckfoot. So this item allows you to take pills, and it will have the same as PhD where they can't be bad.
Right.
They can be neutral, but bad pills are taken out of the equation. You also get the Master of Lockpicking, which is his most valuable item he starts with.
Right.
This allows the user to open gold chests for free. It's very rare you're going to see someone drop the Master of Lockpicking trinket. They'll usually either gulp it, smelt it, or it's going to have to be a pretty solid trinket to get rid of it. That being said, his potential, he is the highest so far, coming in at a 7 solid.
I don't think I would be able to give him a rating because I've never played as him.
Yeah.
Although I do always wonder why his brother ain't in there as well.
Well, Abel is a thing. He's just an item.
Okay.
Next, we've got Judas. Talk about one of the more glass cannon
I think I've
characters.
played as that person either.
So, his problem comes with health. You get 1 red heart to start with. But in exchange, you get the Book of Belial and a massively high attack stat to begin with that's above Isaac's regular.
Are those good items for him?
So Book of Belial nearly doubles your attack when used. This is obviously a very nice thing to do here.
So it is a good item.
It's a very good item depending on how you work it. Now, there's a lot that this character has going for him. As long as you can find yourself a couple HP ups and soul hearts, I'd say he's probably a 6. He's a little bit too glass cannony for my playstyle, but yet I've unlocked most of the hard mode unlocks with him because I love playing as him so much.
Right.
It's one of those weird situations where I don't play like him, but I love him. We are breezing through these, but there is 34. So keep in mind there is a lot more to talk about starting here soon.
What's the next one?
The next one is Beelzebub's ballsack himself, Blue Baby.
I think I played as him a little bit, but not a lot. I think my problem would be a lot of things.
There's a lot of problems. First of all, he cannot have anything but soul hearts and black hearts.
Right. And those are very hard to find.
Reds.
Like, you either have to blow something up or get lucky and find it in
Shops
or
fires.
Stuff like that.
Soul hearts, some runs can get you big amounts, some can get you short amount. The best deal with him is the D6 unlock and some of the other dice unlocks he has attached.
I'll tell you from someone with experience, you don't want to play with him if you are just starting out, because he will die a lot.
He's considered one of the first, challenge characters, so to speak,
you don't want to play as him.
Made. I believe he came in, is it Rebirth or Wrath of the Lamb? I don't remember, but point is, he was the first one that was made to purely be a challenge, but unfortunately, his unlocks make him nearly impossible to recommend.
He's fun to play as.
He can be, but you have to have a pretty good build to play as him. Not much to talk about on the stats. He has a very slight attack advantage over Isaac, but with the no ability to take red heart containers, that's equally bad.
I was going to say, it's kind of bad without the red heart
I will have to give him the lowest score of 1 so far, because even his unlocks are kind of weak.
Right.
Easiest thing about him is that he is one of the few characters that have a revive item attached. If you get an Ankh, you can come back as him immediately.
Right.
Theoretically, this is a good way to unlock characters, unlock his stuff, is to get to a final boss, die as a different character with the Ankh, and become Blue Baby.
Right.
That can kind of mitigate the problem of the unlocks being annoying to get, but at that point, that's just playing as another character, so 1. Just a 1 for him. His tainted form, now that's some fun, but we'll get to that later. Eve. I'm going to be honest.
I've played as and I like her.
She's a fun one. Her and the next character are what's called health risk characters,
Is she the one that's got the bird on her head?
Yes.
Then yes, I've played as her.
Her gimmick is kind of sacrificing HP for damage, just like the next character.
I think she's the one also that, if she gets damaged too much, the bird comes out and protects her.
Well, that's just damage in general. If she takes even 1 hit, the bird attacks.
Right.
Now, if she gets down to 1 red heart, she activates Whore of Babylon, which is on all stats up. Now, a lot of people know that the kind of pro play is to get a ton of soul hearts, sack all her red hearts to permanently be like the Whore of Babylon transformation.
Right.
She can be very powerful, but just like Judas, it comes at the sacrificing of health.
I think it's good, though, if you know what you're doing.
If you know what you're doing, she can be anywhere up to a 6 or a 7. But if you're new, I'd give her a 4.
I put her at 6 because I like her.
Now, speaking of taking damage, Samson.
I just unlocked him. I haven't got to play as him yet, but I did just unlock him.
So, anytime you take red heart damage or any heart damage in general, he will get a buff for the rest of the floor. He is stronger every time you hit him up to a certain point. There is a cutoff point where he won't get any more damage. If you got some a blood donation machine and a few soul hearts, a really solid strategy is to sack every one of your red hearts you can to power him up before the boss. So he's a solid 7 in my terms, but especially when he gets Child's Heart unlocked. Child's Heart is gonna actually make red hearts appear more often for you.
I think I did unlock, not for him though.
Yeah.
Or did I unlock it for him? I can't remember.
Yeah, because Child's Heart I think is always unlocked, but to unlock it as his starting, you gotta get something done. I can't remember much.
I might have. I don't know. I'll have to go check my game. But anyways.
Anyways, though, like I said, I'd give him about a 7. A lot of these characters are going to fall under 7 just because they're kind of the less solid gimmicks, but they're still fun. Zazie, the Azazel.
I love Zazel.
So, one of the most glass cannon characters to talk about, you want to find yourself a red heart upgrade the second you can.
He's awesome though, because you can fly over things and you can actually like open chests and stuff because you can fly over rocks.
Yeah. This is actually a lot of new players' favorite character, and there's a great reason for that. But for me, I burn out on him bad.
But I love Zazel.
Like, I think he's a good character, but I played as him too much in my early days.
Of course, I haven't really played a lot with him, though, is why I like him.
Like, he was my blow-off Steam character. Whenever I felt mad or something, I'd get on the game and just mow shit down.
For me, he's a 7.
Now, I would have given him a much higher score had I not been so sick of him. Nowadays, he sits around the 4 to 5 for me. The gimmick is strong. He starts with a shorter brimstone beam. And that can get some crazy height, especially if you get something like soy milk. If you hold one direction, so the soy milk combo makes his stuff go forever. It never stops. As long as you have the thing held, his beam will continue to shoot. It's a crazy fun little thing to play with. But now we talk about the first one to get anything above a 7. Lazarus.
I love Lazarus. He's actually my most favorite character, and I actually give him a 10. He is a main
of hers, and I have to give him a solid 9.
He gets a 10 for me because I love Lazarus.
So Lazarus, he is a character unlike most, where he actually starts with an extra life.
So if he dies, he actually gets to come back for one time.
It'll remove a red heart from whatever you had, and then you come back with all the containers but one.
And stronger.
And you're stronger than ever. You keep that buff for the rest of the run.
Although I wouldn't get hit again, because if you get hit again, then you die.
Yeah. Depending on where you die, and a lot of people, just like with some characters, sacking all your hearts immediately to get to Lazarus 2 is a very, very viable strategy.
But also very risky.
Very risky. But I tell you, if you got the nerve, the damage is so good.
Plus, you can always find a bunch of, like, health up stuff.
Now, the obvious best pairing with him is to find either a blood penny, a Child's Heart, or something like that.
Right.
He becomes ridiculous if he has a lot of red hearts. It's also obviously a good thing to just take your devil room if you haven't died during the floor. Use that to die to get as much of the devil deal items as possible. Then leave the floor and get your extra life back on the next one.
Mhm.
So that's how I play him a lot. Again, solid 9, one of our favorites.
10 for me. Because I love him.
And the next two are gonna get pretty high for me, as Eden is next.
I love Eden as well. I think I've played as her. I don't know much about her though.
Eden is a character where the whole gimmick is that all stats in 2 items are randomly given at the beginning. As well as that, there's a ton of different hairstyles. There's even like a mustache you can get on this character. It's awesome. I think there's mohawks and all sorts of long hair, and
there's the one that looks like Elsa.
Yeah, there's one that looks like Elsa. There's so many. This isn't my first 10 because I'm a man of random chance gimmick. I love Eden for that reason. Starting with 2 items can be a curse, believe it or not. You'd think 2 free items per run sounds awesome, but they can be anything. Keep that in mind. Not all items in Isaac are good. In fact, there's a good handful that are awful. Like, there's a couple where I'm not good enough to play the game with blood and guts, like the Shard of Glass.
We said at the same time.
Because as soon as I get hit, I gotta find a red heart or I'm dead. You know, I hate that gimmick.
There's also a few other things I don't like. I can't remember what the one's called though.
Yeah,
it's like that thing that goes on your eyes. It's like got the little beam that comes out, but it's like the number 2 to it.
Oh, Robo Baby 2.0.
Yes.
I hate Robo Baby 2.0. I think it's actually one of the more useless items. But that's talking about items at this point, so there is one last fact about Eden that you got to keep in mind. Now, a lot of people, if you're not in the Isaac community, would think that you could just reset until you get good items.
Since I've played as her a few times, I'd give her a 5, by the way.
Yeah. Now the thing is, each time you reset, each time you pick Eden, it takes away what's called an Eden token.
Wait, is that bad?
Yes, because the only way you can gain Eden tokens are to kill Mom's Heart or it lives.
Damn. So you have to go through a whole run to get the tokens again.
At least a decent amount of it. If you don't beat It Lives as Eden, then you've basically not been able to pay yourself back for the token you use. And same goes with Tainted Eden later on in this episode. So
there's really no point in using her unless you can get the token back?
There is a point because obviously you're playing as her like you want. But if you get down to 0, which if you're a decent Isaac player will probably never happen.
Then I probably lost you your token that one day.
Oh, it's fine. If I got like 60 some at this point. I used a lot of mine. But the big deal is if you get down to 0, it relocks Eden until you can beat It Lives again.
Dang.
So that's a quick thing. If that's just something you gotta keep in mind.
That means if I unlock her, I am not going to play as her.
At least until you get quite a few, huh? Yeah. That's one of my recommendations for Eden. Unless you're a good player, don't play as Eden very much in your beginning days. Let the coins stack up. Because while it is one of my favorite gimmicks, it's also the one with the most problems.
Wait, how do you get them? Like, can you play as other characters, or do you gotta play as a certain character?
You don't have to play as any certain. It's just you beat It Lives or Mom's Heart, you get an Eden token. Let's see. So, that being said, The Lost. The bane of all beginners.
I've played as him once.
Now, I imagine that your score for him is going to be pretty damn low.
Yeah, I died within the first few seconds.
Now,
Because I lost the mantle.
you start with Holy Mantle, and you can't get a single heart ever.
And you cannot lose, like, if you can lose your mantle, but if you get hit after you lose the mantle, it's actually pretty bad. Because you die.
So each room, you get a free hit. You can't get hit more than once in a single room, though. Mm-hmm. That's it. Technically, this is uniquely a thing where you have no health at all, but if you play careful, you've practically got infinite. The other thing to note about him is he's about base Isaac stats from what I remember, and Devil Deals can be taken 1 free per Devil Room. Since he has no health to give, you just get it for free, but you can only take 1 item. Very, very fun character if you're good enough. Mm-hmm. Again, he's a solid 10 for me. I love the Lost. And I don't think I've got a lot of his unlocks done.
I have to give him a 4 until I learn how to play as him.
The one that I don't think I'm ever going to like is trying to get the Delirium unlock. Because I hate the Delirium fight. Ed, if you're ever going to listen to this, please God. Okay, just fix the Delirium fight. It's one of the most unfair bosses in video game history. But that's not something I'll talk about here.
Right. Because we're just here to talk about the characters.
There is going to be a lot more Isaac talks over our series, but it's such a big game with so much to talk about. We're going to have to focus on one thing at a time. And that brings us in to Lilith.
Have I played as her?
She's the blindfolded demon.
I don't think I have.
Now, I'm going to be as quick as I can with Lilith, and I am going to speed this up a little because we're already getting pretty late into the episode. Luckily, there is a lot of these I can't really talk a lot about, is the good thing. I hate Lilith. I do love the challenge that comes with her, but I hate her.
I don't know, I've never played as her.
For all of you who are not aware, she cannot shoot her own tears. She has a little demon called the Incubus.
I've seen you play as her, though.
That shoots for her.
Because it's the one.
Basically, it is annoying to have to line up shots. If you're good at it, then she could be a great character. The Box of Friends is really good.
Is she the one where it shoots out?
No, that's her Tainted. So, the Tainted one's amazing. But, as for base Lilith, she is practically reliant on familiars only. She can use her Box of Friends to put 1 extra familiar of each one she has. So, say she has 2, she'll get 1 of each of them. Then any subsequent Box of Friends charges will give her 1 extra of each for the room.
Right.
So, for the room is how often the Box of Friends, like, I'm sorry, I cannot talk about this character because I'm so mad about her. Now, for boss killing, she can be pretty damn good if you get the right items. But I suggest that you wait until you have got her Tainted form to do most of her unlocks, because her Tainted form brings about a lot of good stuff that helps her. So that's that. She sucks. I will give her a 2. Keeper. I do love...
I've seen him, but I've never played as him.
I love his gimmick of coin health. I think it's cool that he starts with the triple shot. You've seen me play as him at least.
I was gonna say, I think I've played as him actually on yours once. Yeah. Just once.
So, I can't really say much about Keeper. He's a very, very hard character to recommend to anybody. But the challenge is actually more interesting with him than the other really bad ones. So I'm going to have to give him a 5.
I can't really give him a score since I only
Yeah.
played as him once.
But the first thing you want to do with him is unlock him holding the wood nickel, as it makes his runs a lot more bearable. I think you got to beat Isaac or Blue Baby to do that, though, as him. So good luck up until that point. Apollyon. Now this
I
one,
love Apollyon.
I do love Apollyon, and I don't know how to say his name. It's either Apollyon or Apollyon.
I don't know how to say it either, so don't
or
worry.
even Apollyon, but his only thing, he's got complete base Isaac stats, except he has one less red heart container at the beginning, and he carries the void item. If you get an item that you do not want, so that's passive, you can use the void on it to actually turn it into raw stats for yourself. I do love the gimmick. That's
he's a good
all there is
character.
to say about him.
I give him a 6.
I would give him an 8 for potential. His unlocks are a little weak, to be fair.
I only give him a 6 because I haven't played with him enough to really, you know.
But either way, that's all we got to say about Apollyon. He's a very base character.
I do
The
love him,
Forgotten.
though.
Now, talk about a character that is the funnest.
Is he the skeleton
He
one?
is the skeleton.
I love that one.
So-
You can hit him with a bone.
You start off, he is the first of the ranged and melee characters.
I like him because you can come in and go smack with the bone.
So, hitting people with your bone is actually pretty powerful. You can throw the bone, but the bone doesn't do as much damage when you throw it as when you hit people.
I love hitting him.
Now, if you are to actually press a certain button, depending on keys or controllers, it's the right trigger for controller. You pop out his soul that's attached to him. And so
and then you can fly over things
fly
as well
over
with
things. Basically, it's actually just the Lost, except that you can have damage and you're chained to
it.
something.
Although, quick side note, you do not want to go over rocks that have spikes.
Yep, with any flying character, if you try to fly over spiked rocks, you still take damage. Keep that in mind. Sadly, even though the Forgotten is a 9 for me, I also can't really say much about him. He can only have bone hearts, while the soul version of him can
He's
only
a
have
9
soul
for me,
hearts.
too.
Now, he actually has the unique problem of only being able to have 6 hearts at any given
Right.
time,
Which kind of sucks,
but he is a very
he is a very
strong
good character.
character. His skeleton form starts with 5.25 damage, which is only matched by Azazel's base damage.
I can recommend this character to anybody,
Heavy
even
recommend.
new new players.
Yep, it actually does. I think this is one of them that any new player should play if you've got someone who has him unlocked.
Right.
His unlock method is one of the more hard ones. We might even talk about difficult unlocks in a different episode. But honestly, he is a 9. That's all there is to say about
He's
him.
a 9 for me too, because I love him.
Absolutely beautiful. So now, gosh, we're so far
What's
into the
next?
episode. This might actually have to be a 2-parter talking about
Why,
the
which
tainted
ones are
characters.
next? Oh, the tainted characters.
The tainted characters.
We might have to do their own little
Yeah.
video, or not video.
Episode.
I mean episode. Sorry, guys. I'm so used to calling it a video.
To Bethany.
No, her, I don't think I've played as her.
Bethany is actually an interesting character that starts with an item called the Book of Revelations. Now, she is the only character that is unable to have soul hearts. As if you pick
That
one up,
sucks.
she uses it as fuel for her Book of Rev. Now, when you use Book of Revelations, you'll get a wisp. And those can shoot individually of you, so get enough wisps available and you're practically invincible. Now, obviously, Devil rooms are a little unadvisable due to the lack of soul hearts. It's going to be very hard to get into one. But the good thing about her, the really good thing about her, is she is one of the only characters I'm aware that starts with Angel deal precedence over Devil. So in floor 2, if you don't take a single hit, you get a free Angel room.
That's awesome.
So that is pretty much all I can say about her. She's got a lot more nuances. Like, she can take any active item and it'll stack in the Book of Revelations. Right. Then when you use that, it'll give you special wisps.
That is awesome.
That actually do stuff corresponding to what item you have.
I like that.
Again, she's an 8. Like a solid 8 for just how interesting her mechanics are. And that's all I gotta say about her. The final and the literal one that gets the lowest score, even below Blue Baby for me, is Jacob and Esau. Ooh, I have a deep-seated hatred for this character. You get 2 characters in one. One dies, the other does, which means either one dies, you're done. Unless they had an extra heart, that's it. Now, the good part is damage output is pretty high. And the unlocks for this character, there's a couple of them that are the best items in the game.
Right.
Easily. You got your rock bottoms, birthrights, and Damocles is from them. Mm-hmm. Which, Damocles, once you take it and activate it, it will double all item pedestals.
Right.
Which would make for a very good thing. After you get hit once after you use Damocles, however, it starts to swing. At any second, that thing can come down and immediately kill you, no matter how high you are on health. Very good risk reward item, but that's kind of all I have to say about them. I actually went a little into Damocles a bit more in their unlocks, because, to be honest, I hate this character more than any other. It's going to be forever until I unlock everything I want with them. They're so damn hard that I can't even. They're a literal, maybe a 0.
I didn't even know there was a character called Damocles.
It's an item.
Oh, item. I didn't know there was an item named Damocles.
Damocles is a very, very dangerous item, but a good one. Either way, I guess the most I could give this character is a 0.5. But a 0 is more fitting for me. Mm-hmm. Where with Lilith, I feel like I could eventually get a win.
Right.
With these two, ugh. Oh, God. Either way, we're sorry we actually had to cut this one in half. The second part will come out maybe a few episodes down the line or something. We did not think it would actually take this long. But
I mean, we do have a lot to say about Isaac, because it is something that we both are mega in love with.
Yeah. I don't want to... I initially thought that half these characters wouldn't have a long talk, so tainted characters are going to have to wait.
Either way.
My name is Ben John.
And I've been Britt.
And we have been the Sylph Center Podcast. Thank you all for coming, and have a wonderful, wonderful day.